I always looked forward to the end of summer party at my friend Jake's house. It was the last big bash before everyone scattered for college or work, and we all wanted to make the most of it. The air was charged with excitement as I pulled into his driveway, music pulsing from inside the house, a vibrant glow spilling out from the windows. As I stepped inside, the familiar chaos of friends mingling, laughing, and dancing greeted me. The scent of pizza and soda wafted through the air, and I felt a rush of nostalgia. This was our last hurrah, and I intended to enjoy every moment. "Hey, Mike, you made it!" Jake shouted over the music, his face lighting up as he spotted me. He grabbed my arm and pulled me into the throng of bodies. "Grab a drink and have some fun." I smiled, letting the energy of the room wash over me. After grabbing a soda from the cooler, I wandered into the living room where a group of friends were playing beer pong. Laughter and cheers erupted with each successful shot, and I found myself caught up in the jovial atmosphere. As the night wore on, the party swelled. More people arrived, the noise level rising as the music changed to something heavier, throbbing against the walls. I noticed a few unfamiliar faces in the crowd, but I brushed it off. It was a party. New people showed up all the time. Around midnight, I decided to step outside for some fresh air. The night was warm, and the stars twinkled above, providing a serene contrast to the chaos inside. I leaned against the porch railing, taking a moment to breathe. "Hey there, stranger," a voice said. I turned to see Emily, a girl I'd had a crush on for years, walking up to me with a playful smile. "Hey, Emily, enjoying the party?" I asked, trying to play it cool. "Yeah, just needed a breather. It's getting a bit too wild in there," she replied, glancing back at the house. "What about you?" "Same. Just taking it all in," I said, feeling the heat rise to my cheeks. We chatted for a while, laughing and sharing stories. It felt so easy and natural, and I couldn't help but feel hopeful as we talked. I noticed a group of strangers lingering near the edge of the yard, their laughter too loud and too sharp, cutting through the warm night air. They seemed to be watching the party from a distance, their eyes fixed on us. "Do you know those people?" I asked, gesturing toward them. Emily frowned, glancing over her shoulder. "No, I don't think so. They've been here for a while, though." My unease deepened, but I tried to shake it off. It was just my mind playing tricks, right? I turned my attention back to Emily, trying to push aside the feeling of being watched. After a while, we decided to head back inside. As we stepped through the door, the noise hit us like a wave. I felt the familiar buzz of excitement return, and we soon found ourselves in the middle of the dance floor, moving to the beat of the music. Just then, I noticed Jake making his way through the crowd, looking frazzled. He was usually the life of the party, but tonight something seemed off. I made my way over to him, dodging through the throng of people. "Hey, Jake, everything all right?" I shouted over the music. He glanced at me, his expression tense. "Yeah, there are some weird people here. I think they might be trying to start something." "Who?" I asked, looking around. The group of strangers had moved closer, their laughter now sounding almost predatory. "Just some guys I don't recognize." I told them to chill out, but they're acting strange, he replied, his eyes darting to the group. Before I could respond, a loud crash echoed through the room. Everyone turned to see one of the strangers had knocked over a table, scattering drinks and snacks everywhere. Laughter erupted from their group, but it felt different, malicious. "Maybe we should talk to them?" I suggested, but Jake shook his head. "No way. Let's just keep our distance. I'll have someone keep an eye on them," he said, looking visibly worried. As the night wore on, I tried to focus on enjoying the party, but the tension hung in the air like a thick fog. The unfamiliar group continued to loom, their laughter growing louder and more chaotic. At one point, I caught sight of Emily chatting with a few friends. Her smile was genuine, and I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe everything would turn out fine. I grabbed a drink and joined her, attempting to shake off the lingering dread. But then I noticed something out of the corner of my eye. One of the strangers had broken off from the group and was staring directly at us. His gaze was intense, filled with a manic energy that sent a chill down my spine. "Hey, do you see that guy?" I whispered to Emily, pointing subtly. "Yeah, he's been staring for a while," she said, her brow furrowing. "Should we be worried?" I shrugged, trying to play it cool. "Probably just drunk. Let's ignore him." But the atmosphere shifted as the music changed to something heavier, darker. Suddenly, one of the strangers lunged into the room, a manic grin on his face. He shouted something incoherent, and laughter erupted from his friends. "Let's get this party started," he yelled, raising a bottle like a trophy. A sense of unease rippled through the crowd. People exchanged worried glances, and I felt the tension mount. "Maybe we should go outside again?" Emily suggested, her voice tight with concern. "Yeah, good idea," I agreed, and we made our way toward the door. As we stepped outside, the cool night air was a relief. We took a moment to breathe, but the unease was palpable. The group of strangers had followed us outside, their laughter echoing through the yard. "What do they want?" Emily asked, glancing back at the door. "I don't know, but it's starting to freak me out," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. Just then, Jake burst through the door, his face pale. "We need to leave now." "Why? What happened?" I asked, alarmed. "They're causing trouble inside. I think they're looking for a fight," he said, urgency in his voice. "We can't let them ruin this party." Before I could respond, the group of strangers stepped closer, their expressions shifting from laughter to something more sinister. One of them, a tall guy with a wild look in his eyes, sneered at Jake. "What's wrong, tough guy? You scared of a little fun?" he taunted. "Off," Jake said, his voice low but firm. But the tall guy took a step closer, his friends following suit. "You think you can just kick us out? We're here to party." "Enough!" Jake shouted, his voice rising above the din. "You're ruining everything. Just leave." The tension snapped like a taut wire. The tall guy lunged forward, shoving Jake hard. The impact sent Jake stumbling back, and in an instant, chaos erupted. People screamed, drinks flew, and the night turned into a frenzy of confusion. "Run!" I yelled, grabbing Emily's arm. We dashed toward the side of the house, heart pounding as we tried to escape the chaos behind us. I could hear shouting, the sounds of shattering glass, and laughter twisted into something darker. The party that had once felt so full of life was now a nightmare unfolding around us. As we rounded the corner, I spotted a group of friends huddled together, fear etched on their faces. "What's happening?" I shouted. "They're out of control," one of them cried, eyes wide with panic. "We need to get out of here." "Where's Jake?" I asked, my heart racing. "I don't know," she yelled, glancing back at the chaos. "He might still be inside." I felt a surge of panic. "We can't leave him. We have to find him." Emily shook her head, desperation in her eyes. "Mike, we can't. It's too dangerous." But I couldn't just leave my friend behind. "I'm going back," I shouted, turning to run back toward the house. "Wait, don't. Emily cried, but I pushed forward, determination overriding my fear. As I reached the door, I could hear the chaos inside growing louder. I burst through, adrenaline coursing through me. The room was a mess. People were shouting, tables overturned, drinks spilled everywhere. "Jake!" I shouted, scanning the crowd. Suddenly, I caught sight of him across the room, struggling with the tall guy from earlier. My heart dropped. "Get off him!" I yelled, rushing forward. But before I could reach them, one of the tall guy's friends turned, spotting me with a sneer. "You want some too? Huh?" he taunted, stepping toward me. I took a deep breath, my heart racing as I prepared to confront him. "Let him go!" I shouted again, my voice echoing in the chaos. "Make me," he challenged. But I didn't have time to think. I charged at him, adrenaline fueling my movements. The moment I reached him, I shoved him hard, sending him stumbling back. It was a split-second decision, fueled by fear for my friend. But before I could react, the tall guy turned and lunged at me, his fist swinging wildly. The impact knocked me off balance, and I felt pain radiate through my body. I stumbled back, trying to regain my footing as the chaos around me intensified. In that moment, everything felt like a blur. I saw Jake still grappling with the tall guy, his expression fierce but strained. "Mike, watch out!" Jake shouted, and I turned just in time to see another one of the strangers rushing toward me. I dodged to the side, adrenaline surging as I moved instinctively. The room was chaos, bodies moving frantically, and I fought to keep my balance. Just then, Emily appeared beside me, fear etched on her face. "We have to get out of here now," she shouted. I nodded, desperation fueling my movements. "Where's Jake?" "Over there. We have to grab him," she shouted, pointing toward the melee. I took a deep breath, my heart racing as we pushed through the crowd. Just as we reached Jake, he managed to throw the tall guy off balance, giving us a chance to grab him. "Let's go!" I yelled, and we turned to sprint toward the door. The chaos behind us grew louder, and I could hear the shouts and laughter morphing into something more sinister. As we burst outside, the cool night air hit us like a wave, and I felt a rush of relief. But that relief was short-lived. The group of strangers had followed us out, their expressions twisted with rage. "Think you can just run away?" the tall guy shouted, pointing at us. "Get in the car!" I yelled, panic rising in my chest. Jake and Emily jumped into the back seat as I fumbled with the keys, my hands shaking. The strangers were closing in, their laughter now filled with menace. Finally, the engine roared to life and I slammed the gear into drive. "Hold on!" I shouted as I sped out of the driveway, tires screeching against the asphalt as we tore down the road. I glanced in the rearview mirror. The group was still standing by the house, their figures receding into the distance. "Are we safe?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "For now," I replied, my heart still racing. "But we need to get far away from here." The drive was tense, silence hanging heavily in the air. I could feel the adrenaline slowly ebbing away, replaced by the weight of what had just happened. We had narrowly escaped a terrifying situation, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't over. As we drove on, the night stretched before us, a dark reminder of how quickly things could turn. I knew that the party would forever be marked by the chaos we had faced. But more importantly, I realized the strength of our friendships, the bonds that pulled us through even the darkest moments. We made it to a diner just outside of town, the flickering neon sign casting a warm glow against the night. We parked and stepped inside, the familiar scent of coffee and comfort food enveloping us as we settled into a booth. I felt a sense of safety wash over me. The chaos of the night felt distant now, a bad dream fading into the background. But I also knew that I wouldn't forget the feeling of vulnerability, the stark reminder of how quickly everything could change. We had escaped, but the night would linger in my mind, a testament to the unpredictable nature of life, friendship, and the shadows that sometimes lurk just beyond the light.